All right, we're live. Welcome everybody. Hope you're doing well. Has there ever been a live stream that started without the host or whoever going? And we are live. I reckon I've done that every single video. Welcome everybody. I haven't done a live stream for over a month. It's probably been 4 or 5 weeks, so or longer. I'm not really too sure, but welcome everybody. Thanks for all the support this year with the channel. As per always, I appreciate it. It's interesting to sort of go back to some of those old Boss pedals and redo those videos. I had no expectations of people interested in that kind of stuff, but yeah, the response was great, and there's plenty more of them on the way. I've actually queued up about 8 different Boss pedals, so if you're revisiting the channel after quite some time or whatever the case is, there's way more of those coming up. Welcome everybody. This is going to be a Q&A. We're going to talk about my my Gibson I sold as well and why, just in a little bit. So I'll just wait till a few people join here. We've got Victor T. We've got Troy Spencer. Martin, welcome. Donnie Brook. Fat Philosopher, welcome mate. So just to let you know, it's like midnight here. I've just started having a little bit of caffeine to keep the brain on, you know, alert while I'm doing this, because the chat flies by. If there's any issues with the audio or video, please let me know as well. I'm trying a slightly different setup today. Hopefully it looks all good. All right, Fat Philosopher says he's got 3 Boss pedals. That's awesome. Great pedals, you know, like some of the first demos I ever did back in like 2007 were Behringer and Boss pedals, and 2008 was probably right around when I did the Boss ones actually, but yeah, super cool. It's funny going back to the Blues Driver, like I never really loved that pedal when I first tested it. I think it was because the one that I tried was modded, and I think it wasn't working properly. I would almost assume. I have tried it since then, and I did like a shootout with the Wazacraft one, but it wasn't a good video, nor was it like, it didn't sound very good, like in terms of the quality of it. So yeah, it's been fun going back over some of those old pedals, and they're great. Like one of my favorite overdrives of all time is the Boss OD3. It's still a great pedal to this day. Martin asks, should I buy an Artist Tweed Tone 20R or a Vox AC15? You know, I actually like the Tweed Tone better. I think it's, if you live in Australia, get one of those, or in the UK or wherever you can get them from. The Vox amps are also very good, but they're very heavily mid-scooped, and which means they don't really work well when you're playing live in comparison to the Tweed Tone. Tweed Tone just throws a lot more wind, and it's not a watts thing, it's like a tone thing. It's way more usable tones in the Tweed Tone, although one of the things about a Vox is if you pair it with a Tube Screamer, it's epic. So if you've got a Tube Screamer, it could go either way. If you just want to plug in and get a great tone, I'd probably say go for the Tweed Tone. I've owned both, so that's my experience with it. But if you can try them both, you know, or just go for the one that works best for your particular sound. All right, we got HL Cotton from North Carolina. Welcome. James Silver from Scotland. Awesome stuff. Let us know if the audio is good too, guys. If you don't mind, it looks like it's slightly clipping. If you hear it distorting, just let me know. It might still be in the safe zone, but I might just back it off one more click. There we go. We'll try that. Greetings from Finland. That's from Mikhail. Welcome. We've got Texas Bootlegger from Texas. Obviously. Welcome. Hey, Jamal's here. Welcome, mate. If I could, I would have bought the special from you. Yeah, so for those wondering, I didn't sell the Gibson Flying V. I love that guitar, and I play it enough to warrant still keeping it. But the Les Paul Special, as nice of a guitar as that is, and you know, listening back to those Boss pedal videos that I used it on recently, which I shot like 3 weeks ago or more, it sounded great. But it's just a guitar I don't use much when I go play live, and I don't like stuff sitting in the cupboard. For me, if I don't want to play it when I go out and play live, then there's no point me having it. And I'm starting to sort of cull the collection back to a point where it's going to be the great guitars for the channel, but more importantly, great guitars that, you know, I could take out and play live and feel comfortable on. I think Rick said it best. He goes, you never quite bonded with that Les Paul Special like you did with the Tokai or the Flying V or the Strat or the Telecasters. And I was like, you're right. I never did. And it was probably one of my last option guitars to take out and play it live. And it's not because it's not good. It's a great guitar. It was just that I never took it out. I just preferred tonally everything other than the P90s. And I'm also working on a big project at the moment that will hopefully be, in the works for next year. So I'm putting some funds away for that as well. But yeah, such a great guitar, and that's why I put that little crazy emoticon on the title of this video. It's one of those things, you buy stuff, you sell stuff. Sometimes you regret it, and other times you just forget about it. And I feel like I'm not going to really regret that. Part of me was like, that Slash, you know what actually all sort of tipped me over the edge? That Slash guitar I played was very good. Maybe the best Les Paul I ever played. At least for the price. There's some higher end ones I've played which were great, but I'd never buy them. But the Slash was beautiful, and I think if I ever replace that down the track, I might get that Slash Les Paul in November Burst. Beautiful. Or Tobacco Burst, or whatever it is actually. But yeah, it was... That thing was special, and it was more like a guitar that I would want to play over P90s. I like P90s. I think they sound great, but I don't like them enough to want to play that guitar over my Strat, my Telecaster, my Gibson Flying V, the Kiesel, any of the other guitars. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you've ever moved on a guitar that people are like, what are you doing? I've had a few people sort of go, why did you sell that? But yeah, so that's kind of how I am. I don't showcase my guitars on the wall. I keep them in a cupboard. I don't just put them up there and forget about them. I actually like to use them outside of the room here. And once they just start filling up space, I kind of thought, yeah, it's time to move some stuff on. So that's why I got rid of it. All right. Al Holman says you got the Slash Les Paul. I haven't bought any other guitars, mate. So no, not yet. But as I just said, high on the list of one of the best guitars I've played from Gibson. Really cool. But the thing is, right, I got a Tokai Love Rock LS110, as you probably have seen, that made in Japan Les Paul style electric, and that's so good. Like, there's no reason for me to replace that other than going, it's not a Gibson, which isn't enough of a reason. That Tokai's lived longer than a lot of other guitars in my collection, my humble collection of guitars. So yeah, I really feel like that pretty much covers the Les Paul stuff. And it's a point of difference too, rather than just having, the same old stuff. Never sell. No, I'm the exact opposite, man. I you don't use it, get rid of it. I'm a big believer in that. I don't believe in holding on to stuff just because. Stuart says, hey Shane, long time subscriber, first time typing. Hey, welcome, man. Love your guts. Thanks, mate. Thanks for being a subscriber. I appreciate that. So we do have subscriber mode on the chat, which means you just have to click subscribe and then you can type if you can't already. I know that confuses some people, but it's a good way for me to easily sort of keep up with the chat here to some extent. When do you think the next great guitar purge will happen? Pretty soon. I think that was the start. I probably got a few more I might part ways with. Nothing major. I'm not getting rid of the Flying V or the Telecasters or the Strat is a funny old guitar. I love that guitar. I've been playing it more than anything else lately, and it I went off them for so long, but that 50s American original one I'm absolutely digging. Hey, we got John here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. We got Dwayne from the mountains of California. Very cool. Keith from Huntsville, Alabama. Sound and video are solid. Thanks, Donnie. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. All right, audio is good. Beautiful. That means it's all working. So we've got a slightly different setup. You'll see me looking up. I've got a microphone right here. So we're trying something different, and sometimes it can get... depending on how animated I am, depends on whether or not it distorts or does anything weird, but awesome. I'm going to try not to burp through the microphone all night like I did last time. The mute button rocks. Here we go. James says, I'm buying the Gretsch 5622 after your review. It will it would be my second guitar. Well, those things are so good. Yeah, they're you know, part of me still wants to buy one of those. It's a great alternative to a Les Paul. Like, it's kind of similar in terms of its size and design, but has its own vibe going on. It's just a good point of difference and great value for money as well. So you'll dig it. I still probably will get one of those at some point. So for those who don't know, next year I plan on going overseas for a while. Finally, this trip that was supposed to happen ages ago before we got locked into Australia. So when that happens, I'm going to keep an eye out for potentially something like that while I'm away. We'll see what happens. There'll be some good guitar shops on the list. Hey, all right, we got HL Cotton says, I personally like the single pedals better than the all-in-one boards, easy for me to calibrate, etc. Especially when playing live. Like, all-in-ones can be really practical if they've got a lot of effects that cascade into each other really well, or like a dual overdrive or an overdrive clean boost and something like a delay. You know, one of those kind of pedals. But once you start getting lots of different effects on a board, it's usually too hard to... Well, it can be less troubleshooting in some ways, but you really need to know it inside and out before you start messing with it, especially if you need to do something quickly and you're playing live. Let me just scroll down here. Are you still using the Marshall DSL 40? Absolutely. I love that amp. I used it 2 weekends ago. With the only pedal I used was the delay pedal in the effects loop, and it was great. It's such a good amp. It's fantastic, man. Have I tried the Gibson custom R8 or R9? You know what? I can't remember. We did try some custom shop Les Pauls at some point, but I don't know if it was one of those. Yeah, I can't remember. It's kind of strange, but I used to have a VOS 50... What was it? A 56 VOS gold top with P90s, and that was kind of like one of those guitars, but it didn't have humbuckers, obviously. Same sort of series, but no, I don't know if I've played a lefty in those exact ones before. John says, weird, I typed a lot of comments at the start of the stream that disappeared. Oh, that's weird. I don't know. I didn't see them come up at all. Might have been your internet or something. I haven't removed any comments or whatever. You finally come around and realize the Strat is king. I think part of the reason I went off it was because of the absolute vibe of the Telecaster. It's one of those things, I always like playing something a little bit different. You know, if you play blues, everybody's got a Strat, or they've got a 335 or something like that, and it was just a good point of difference to have a Tele, tone-wise, and just, you know, a very different sort of look. But yeah, I don't know, something about the Strat I'm really loving. Hey Shane, did you get to try an American 60s Strat when you bought your American Original 50s? I did, yeah. I've reviewed one on the channel once. I didn't do like an A-B video between them both, but the first time I got to try the American Original 50s, I also reviewed the 60s one. 60s is good, and I've played it since. The neck's not as fat, and the neck doesn't quite look as premium, which isn't a big deal, but I love the soft V neck profile on the 50s one. I also love the color of it as well. You can kind of see through it a little bit. It's just a good, cool sort of look and vibe in the 50s one. The 60s one's great too, but yeah, for me, I was more of a fan of the feel of the neck on the 50s one, and the visual was cool. So yeah, some people would love the 60s based on that profile of the neck. It's a sort of personal thing, but yeah, both are great. People say can't drink a beer in the middle of the day. Yeah, it's 12:15 a.m. here. I saw your deluxe reverb review and I got one, and it's incredible. Thanks for the honest review. Hey, no worries, man. That's from World's Okayest Guitar Player. That's a cool cool YouTube name. Yeah, I've owned a few of those too. I've owned a 65 Deluxe. I've owned the 68 Custom Deluxe, and I had them both at the same time. I think one of the videos that helped put my channel on the map many years ago was Dr. Rick and I doing a shootout video between both of those amplifiers. And yeah, there's something really cool about a deluxe reverb. You know, they got a great sound, and that's one of the reasons why they're arguably the most recorded guitar amplifier ever. I don't know who came up with the stat or who came up with that as being a thing, but deluxe reverbs are all over recordings. They're really, really great. I have an SG, a perfect guitar, but just don't play it. I usually grab artist guitar before my SG. What do you think, sell it or not? I mean, this is up to you, man. You know, some people have a hard time selling anything, even if they haven't used it in 10 years. I had a good friend like that. I actually got a couple of friends like that. And a mate of mine, Dave, probably got one of the best collections of guitars around. And I'm sure he hasn't played some of those in 10 years. But he can't sell them. It's just not something he does. So, yeah, it's sort of like... this is... I have no problems removing things that I don't use, whether it's, you know, a camera or whether it's a guitar. If I'm not using it and it's time for it to go, it goes. So yeah, it's all up to you, man. I think it's nice having a great guitar in your collection rather than, you know, like if you say yours is a Gibson SG and you always aspired to get that, it probably doesn't make sense to get rid of it. But if it's one that you're just not playing and you don't love it, sell it, get something else, or put the money into something else. All right, let me have a look down here. These days, everyone is talking about Telecasters. Yeah, that's exactly right. Man, I think I may have influenced... yeah, I don't know. I'm not responsible for that, but I think, I think one of the things my channel's been known for over the last 10 years is that yellow butterscotch Telecaster I've got, and yeah, such a great guitar. It really is. I love both of them. I'm not going to sell either. Hey, we've got a super chat here from is it Eden Barrera? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. There's no question there. If you do have a question, just add in the blues me and I'll follow that up for you, mate. I appreciate your support. Thank you. I'll just scroll back up here. Played few guitars as good as my Ernie Ball Music Man guitars. Unfortunately, they're down to one lefty model with few options. Yeah, they're really nice guitars. I don't think I've ever seen a lefty before. I think Sky Music might be getting some, or one at least anyway, coming up. So when they do, I'll see if I can borrow it and shoot a video. Great sounding guitars. Actually went to the largest distributor of them in the Northern Hemisphere, which was a shop called Pro Music Tools in Germany. If you like Music Band guitars, go check out that Guitar Search Saturday. I can't remember what number it is, but just type in Pro Music Tools Guitar Search Saturday and it will come up. Have I tried any of the Origin Effects drive pedals? Not myself, but just the other day, Rick was here. We were shooting some videos for the Harley Benton guitars, and he used this really elaborate Origin Effects dirt pedal, which was kind of like a Marshall and a Soldano in a box. I can't remember the exact name of it off the top of my head, but that's the only one that I've heard in person recently. I don't know if I love their compressors, but I don't know if I've actually heard any of their other dirt pedals, so I don't think so. Just that thing, it had like 30 different controls on it. Let me scroll down. Hey Shane, would you say custom shop strats are worth the extra dough? You know, to some people they are, and they can't play, or they're not interested in anything other than a custom shop guitar. I'm right in the middle. I can see value in custom shop guitars, but I can also see some that aren't worth the price they're asking. There's a really great middle ground of stuff now that really feels great to play, and that's where that American Original Series one sort of sits for me. It's kind of like custom shop quality, but not as expensive and not as light either. That's the trade-off. A lot of custom shop guitars from Fender are ridiculously light, and that's part of their appeal. That plus real premium pickups. But sometimes the pickups just aren't that different. I've recently, I think this time last year, I did a shootout between my guitar and a custom shop 1957 white Strat. They almost looked identical minus the gold hardware. And these are these appointments that don't really make that much of a difference to me. Like gold hardware, to me, I couldn't care less about that. Some people love it, but I don't. And then you've got to weigh up whether or not you can justify the difference in the price between all of this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I can see value in some custom shop guitars. Some just feel and sound great. I've experienced playing them before, and I'm like, this is fantastic. It's actually better than my guitar. But is it $2,000 or $3,000 better? That's where I have a hard time. And I'm not really going to make that guitar sound better than mine because they're both great guitars. So, yeah, look, that's just one of those things. If you can afford it and you find one that you love and it's not going to break the bank, then it might be worth it, right? But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you need to spend that kind of money. Even the American Pro 2 Strats and Tullys are far better than they were a couple of years ago. Hey, the Pork Chop, thanks, man. He says, hey, Shane, Merry Xmas, mate. And thank you for all the content. No problems at all. I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm still doing the 30 videos in 30 days thing, so this will count as one. I'm not that I'm really counting them now, but I scheduled up a whole bunch of videos, lots of guitars, amps, comparisons. I've still got to shoot like my end of year wrap up video, which will go up usually around the same day every year. I think around the 15th or so. So stay tuned for that as well. That'll be a good video, hopefully. I haven't shot it yet, but I got to test so much stuff this year that I think it'll be good fun. I always look forward to those videos. Eric Warrington said, hey Shane, sad to see the Gibson go. Which one? I'm late to the party. It was the Les Paul Special, the TV yellow one with the P90s. I'm definitely still keeping the Gibson Flying V. You know, I always wanted one of those guitars, and I'm going to make more of an effort to play it live now because the less guitars you have, the more you tend to use stuff. Yesterday, Rick Beato posted a YouTube interview with Tommy Emmanuel. He played great blues. You know, Rick used to play with Tommy Emmanuel back in the day. They both did the blues tour. So, yeah, Rick has the same gift that Tommy has for hearing stuff and being able to play it with no rehearsal. So, yeah, Rick was his side man for a lot of the electric blues stuff. And Rick can play everything, by the way. Like, not just blues. He plays everything. There's a gig I was told from a mutual friend of ours that the drummer and the bass player didn't rock up. They were like the car broke down or something like that. And Rick played for 3 hours on his own. Just all these songs and melodies, and it's crazy. The guy knows a million songs. And Tommy Emmanuel's like a freak. I don't really love listening to him for a long period of time, Tommy Emmanuel, but there's no question about how great he is. It's not my style of music, that acoustic thing, but I love listening to Tommy when he's playing electric guitar with other great players. That's where he really shines, and that's the stuff that gets me going. I want to hear a great vocalist as well. So, yeah, just super cool, super cool. I'll check that out. Thanks for the heads up. I'm looking to buy my first 7-string. Any suggestions? Man, I would almost encourage you to see if you can find something that's like... Well, it depends how much you really want to spend. And if it's just an experiment, I wouldn't go spending more than something like a Harley Benton. You get a good guitar, and you'll get something that, or an ESP or something like that. Those kind of guitars will give you enough quality without sort of breaking the bank. And if you don't love it, you sort of haven't blown your dough. 7-string's a real niche kind of guitar. I never play them. I stay right away from those guitars. I think Jackson also make a few as well. I've seen a couple of 7-strings at the shop, but I don't know anything about 7-strings in terms of... Never played one. Never seen a lefty. Not something that that I can really help you with, unfortunately. Sorry. Hey, we've got Joseph here. Welcome, mate. Kevin says, hi Shane, love the channel. Is it a stretch trying to be good at acoustic and electric? Are they really two different instruments? Should we just concentrate on one? Oh no, there's plenty of great players who can play both. I mean, look at Eric Clapton or you know, even some of the guys you see on my channel can do both extremely well. It just depends on what you love the sound of, man. Like some people will say just play acoustic, and when you get on electric, it's easier. But it's not the same. You can't. There's certain things you can do on an electric guitar you can't do on an acoustic when it comes to sustain and some of the chops higher up the guitar. It really is a different instrument in that regard. But play the one that motivates you the most. Don't worry about trying to get great at both. Just if you feel like playing acoustic, do it. If you want to focus more on electric guitar, do that. I'm much more into electric guitar than I am acoustic. In terms of what I listen to hardly any acoustic instrument music anymore. It kind of bores me after a while. I don't like the sounds as much as I would listening to Tommy Castro or Chris Kane or Knopfler or whoever, right? So, yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong there. Just follow the path that you think you want to learn. Yeah, there's no right or wrong. Greg says, I sold all my Gibsons. I play mainly Fenders, but I picked up a PRS 408 for my humbucking needs. Nice, man. The PRS guitars are beautiful. I'm still loving my PRS SE. That's a guitar. I don't, you know, a while back I was going to upgrade and get like an American PRS, but the more I thought about it, I was like, what isn't that guitar doing for me? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep it. If I hadn't have got the made in Korea one, odds are I may have got a US one at some point, but I love mine, so yeah, they're both great. I have an 83 SG, which I haven't played for years, but lately I found that I'll pal back and play it every now and then. So I'm happy I never sold it. Oh, well, that's all right. If you pick it up and play it, I think that's what you meant to say there. That's great. There's no reason to sell something if you enjoy it, even if you only enjoy playing it every now and then. I just found I was never taking that particular guitar out to play live. I was always choosing something else. And to me, that's kind of like the nail in the coffin. As much as I used it on the channel, I wasn't taking it out, and I was thinking, do I really need this? And no, was the answer. You know, everyone's situation is different as well. I just, yeah, if you keep something or flip it, it's up to you. Have you thought about swapping the pickups in the American Original 50s? I found them a little bit harsh. Oh, no way. No way. Mine sound great, man. I have a feeling a big part of what you're probably hearing is your amp. I don't know what amp you're playing, but either through the Fender or through the Marshall, I love the sound of that guitar. I'm using it a lot coming up on some videos as well, and no, part of the reason I bought it was that particular sound. It's great. The amp makes the biggest difference to any guitar you plug into it. I mean, the amp is the sound. The guitar's kind of part of it, but the amp makes the biggest difference to your tone. And I think sometimes if something's too bright, it could be the voicing of the amp, it could be the speaker. There's a few other factors, but yeah, I've never thought of those pickups being harsh or brittle or anything. Hey, Guitar Journey, welcome, mate. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down here. How do you feel about live music coming back in Australia? It's about time, man. All these rules we had here were just, like, insane. But, yeah, I'm glad the people who make their living doing that can at least try and do it again. Yeah, it's going to take a while before I think the attendance level gets back to where it was. People just probably are still not in the habit of going places, or they don't want to. I think that the only thing to come out of that might be beneficial for some people is that they might have worked out other ways of establishing income, because it was a terrible situation for all those musos in Australia, or at least in Victoria and New South Wales. Ever had a guitar with a broken truss rod? What did you do worth repairing? No, never. I think if it's under warranty or whatever, hopefully you can get that fixed. A tech should be able to get that done though, you know, if you do want to get it sorted out. I don't know how much that sort of work costs, but being that you live in Japan, I'm tipping there's a million great techs that can get that done. There, you got all the great repair places there, so yeah, you should be right. Hey, we've got Bobby here. He says, I'm watching all your videos from India. Thanks, mate. I've been adding the subtitles for Hindi as well, so I appreciate that. I don't do it on all of them, but when I remember, I do it, so thank you. Here we go. World's Okayest Guitar Places. I remember your video on getting a butterscotch tele repaired. How's it holding up? Yeah, great. You know, you can still see where the mark hit it. No, I didn't care about that. The fact that it was brand new and it took a horrible ding out of the guitar, I just wanted it to feel smooth again, right? Just you rub your hand over it, you don't notice it. Even if visually you saw it. And he goes, I can fix it properly. I can, you know, do all this kind of stuff to make it look as the same as I said. I don't care about that. Just if it looks smooth and feels smooth, I'm good with that. It's a good reminder. But yeah, it's been great. I love that guitar. I've actually got a couple live clips coming up showcasing well, the gear, and it was that guitar. And what amp was I playing that day? I think the Fender. Sounded awesome. The Jazzmaster. Yeah, it's a player either. It's one thing I left out at the end I should have added, was that it didn't feel that great to like to bend on. I think it's a different, maybe it's a scale length thing or something. I'm not too sure. Ricky, welcome, mate. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Have I ever tried true temperament guitars? No. Never heard of them, actually. Any thoughts on the Fender Parallel Universe series? I find the bridge pickup is a great sound, whereas the Strat bridge pickup is too ice picky. A Strat with a Tele bridge pickup would be ace. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, look, there's a lot of Teles that have that kind of sound. They have that Strat neck pickup, and then they have, well, they have the tonality of a Strat neck pickup. It looks like a Tele one, but then you get the whole Tele bridge pickup thing, which is fantastic. So yeah, look, I think some of those look okay, and I haven't seen probably the latest release of those guitars, but since they've come out, I've seen a number of them. I think they look okay, just a little bit different. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen probably the latest ones yet, at least not in person anyway. Hey, we've got Amanda Coombs here. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. I guess it's starting to get cold where you are. I'm getting a tan again. This is crazy. Well, not much, but it's starting. I actually got burnt on my head the other day down the beach, so yeah, it's starting to warm up. It's funny, I watch a lot of Canadian YouTube channels, one of which it's called DP Review. It's a camera channel. One of the best. If you're into camera equipment, go check them out. It's funny, just as I start wearing t-shirts and shorts again, all those guys in Canada, they got the big jackets on, the earmuff things, and they're walking in snow. I'm thinking, man, that happened fast. It looked like it goes from like nice weather to snow without a whole lot of like in between weather. I could be wrong, but it cracks me up. It looks beautiful though, I gotta say. Sebastian Gomez says, hello Shane from Chile. What do you think about the splittable Fender V-Mod? Oh, sorry, let's start again. What do I think about the Fender V-Mod 2 humbuckers as a change to the P90s? I think if I was going to put humbuckers in any guitar, I would just buy Gibson burst buckers. They're by far my favorite. You know, but it's probably not. I don't really like changing pickups in guitars unless it's an absolute necessity. Now, I've done it in the past, and it's a real rabbit hole. I think the biggest solution to getting the tone you want is your amp and hands, but changing pickups all of the time it's a huge problem for some people. That's all they do. They buy a guitar, they change the pickups. I'm like, why'd you buy it? So yeah, I'm a big believer in if I can leave whatever's in there in, and it sounds fine and it does the job, then that's good. But to get a guitar with P90s only to turn it into a humbucker guitar would basically render my Tokai obsolete, because that's got humbuckers, or vice versa, right? So I've kind of got that covered. I just figured the easiest way was to sort of part ways with it. And Sam, if you're watching this, who bought it, hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying it. He's a jazz player, and he's down from Sydney, and yeah, nice dude. So he'll no doubt put the work on the guitar. It's basically brand new. I only played it live maybe twice or something. All right. Let me just have a sip of this. Bill 1949 says, was interested why you decided to review some older Boss pedals versus the boutique pedals that are out there. So I do a good selection of everything. I've been doing obscure pedals on the channel for years. Like, I put a lot of Greek pedal companies on the map, as well as many pedal companies from around the world that weren't seen anywhere, because I sort of wanted to niche the channel a little bit differently. But when I first started the channel, I was doing Behringer and Boss pedals and all kinds of like Zvex stuff, just real mainstream effects. But that was back in 2008 and 7. And I figured the channel has changed so much. My playing has changed so much. The video quality is far better than it was back in the day. Let's revisit some of the classics. So that's what you're going to see coming up to Christmas. The part of this 30 videos in 30 days is literally going back to a lot of old stuff that I did and sort of revamping the video. I'm really shocked. Like, I shot 8 pedal videos in 2 days. So you probably see by the end of it, I'm looking like my eyes are falling out or whatever. But yeah, that was like, these were all really, really good. It's funny. It's good for my own sort of experience playing them again. Because sometimes you think something's a certain way and then you give it another shot. You're like, oh, okay, now I get this. And the Blues Driver was a great example of a pedal I never really liked. I heard other people play it. I was like, this isn't any good. Like, why does everyone rave about the Blues Driver? And then I played it through my rig with the way that I like to sort of dial stuff in. I'm like, this is awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I just like to kind of cover as much stuff as I can that's of interest to me. And if it's of interest to me, hopefully someone else gets a kick out of it. And sometimes no one's interested, and that's the funniest thing about YouTube. You know, you get 180,000 subscribers or whatever the channel's up to, and you'll get 1,500 views on a video that you put 6 or 7 hours into, because it's a brand no one knows. And you know, with all those Boss pedal videos, I set up one camera here or just in front of me, another one on the pedal. I didn't do any multi-camera stuff. I did it all in one take. And those videos went off. So you can't win, right? I think I've learned a good lesson doing those videos again. But yeah, look, the Boss stuff is really good. Some of it's great, some of it's good, and some of it's mediocre. And the mediocre stuff, some of it will actually be on the channel coming up too. I haven't said good things about all of them, but if you're a big fan of those kind of classic pedals, there's more stuff coming up. I'm actually going to put an order in, like a paid order for some of the other pedals I reviewed right at the early days of the channel, and try those ones again. I'll just get them off eBay or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's good revisiting stuff again after, what is it, 12 years or more? I've been doing this for a long time. Hey Bill, thanks for the kind words, mate. He says, hey Shane, just want to say thanks for the great channel. You're a great player. Appreciate your down-to-earth approach. Keep up the great work. Hey, thank you, Bill. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, we've got Krenner Guitar here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Thoughts on the 57 traditional Strat single coils or the Damasio S? Yeah, I don't know what those Damasio pickups are that you've written in there. Sorry, man. I don't know a lot about those. 57 Strat single coils are pretty good. Some people find 50s Strat, as one guy mentioned earlier, Fat 50s for me were always a little bit too bright, and other people love them. So generally the 50s pickups have a bit more bite to them. So yeah, I think they're pretty solid pickups from what I know about them. But yeah, that's about it. Michael from the USA says, question, what Fender guitar between you and Rick that you both loved but neither bought, including custom shops? Oh man, I mean, yeah. There's been a few. There's been the best one I ever played was this black Tele. I was so close to buying it. I thought, I'm going to buy this guitar. And then I realized, man, it's just too out of my price range. I couldn't justify it. It was a black 50s relic Telecaster. And I'm not a huge fan of the relic stuff. I don't mind it occasionally, but that was awesome. But the thing between Rick and I'm a left-handed, he's right-handed. So that doesn't always work. You know, both of us don't always want the same guitar. But the one that he should have bought, and he actually went back to play it again, there was a green sparkle Telecaster. It was another custom shop one as well. So it was a pretty expensive guitar, but it had literally had green sparkle on it. And it was sort of like rubbed off with sandpaper or however they do the relic job, and it was really nice. And he didn't buy that, but I don't have too many regrets on stuff I should have bought. Maybe the only one that I really should have bought many years ago, I went to Jacksonville in Florida. It was within my first week of being in the US, and I said to myself, I'm not going to buy a guitar until the end of the trip, which was a stupid move because I actually drove back there on the way back from this road trip thing I was doing. I went back to it was a Guitar Center. They had a used wall. And they had two left-handed great Strats you could never find in Australia, and they were both gone. So, yeah, that's probably the two that come to mind. I'm just laughing at Guitar Journey there. It was a hot fall in Ontario and switched to winter overnight. Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like on the videos. It's funny. These guys shoot a video or two a week, and it went from dudes walking around in like a shirt to snow gear. Hey Shane, love the channel and all the content. How would you decide between the new American Pro 2 Tele versus a used American original Tele? Look, they're both great. They both feel good in the hand. There's no real disadvantage to either. The key differences between them is the 50s American Tele is more like an old school Telecaster. It's got a soft V-neck, which it maybe isn't super traditional, but it means it's it's a different shape, but not better or worse. Another key difference is the Fender American Original has a high gloss neck versus the much smoother satin or ultra satin finish on the American Pro. So that could be a deciding factor for you. I think the other thing, the American Pro 2 has a push pot on the tone control, and that gives you the Tele combination of neck and bridge pickup. I don't know if you need that, but that's one of those things that come up. I actually got some videos coming up about those guitars again at the house here, so stay tuned for those. But they're both really good. You know, I know that the Fender American Original stuff isn't being produced much now because of the American Pro 2s have been so successful. They've kind of killed off the American Original range. I know you can still get them new, but you'll be finding stock that just hasn't sold because they're next to impossible to get. I waited like 8 months to get mine, so yeah, I know other people that wait a long time and they were told, yeah, we can't get this after 6 months. So the other little thing that's the point of difference is the case. You get a tweed case with the American Pro. You get a tweed case with the 50s American Original one. And the and like an ABS flight case with the other one. I didn't watch the Beatles doco, but I did see a Beatles tribute band on the weekend. Very cool. Yeah, I don't really know much about the Beatles. I've never been, I know their songs, but I've never really gotten into them that much. I think I need to sort of get into hearing a bit more of their less kind of mainstream stuff. I always sort of found it a bit all happy and, I don't know, great melodies and stuff, but not my kind of music. I'd like to sell my Gibson too. Too bad it's not an option in the Ukraine. It's just too pricey for most people. I don't want to spend time showing it off to lookers. Yeah, I guess that's the problem with the second-hand market. Hey, like everybody, there's a lot of people that kind of want to check stuff out, which is understandable. I would want to do that too, but yeah, I can sort of weed out people who are serious about something when I get messaged about it online, or if they're, they really want it, and that you can probably still, I don't know, give it a shot. I think people are still buying guitars, man. I don't think there's a huge issue moving secondhand guitars. If it was in the right price for you, there's plenty of other people that will, I don't know how big the country is, but there'll be plenty of other people, obviously, that can afford it as well. So, yeah, see how you go. Thoughts on what neck pickup is better? Blue lace sensors or little 59? Yeah, I don't know what the little 59 is. I've tried lace sensors before. They're all right. They're a bit clacky sounding. I wouldn't consider them like a great clean pickup. They sort of are better when you're throwing like dirt at them. Hey, a little 59. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Yeah, I can't help you much there, John. Sorry. Hey, LM Guitar Corner. Welcome, mate. Have I had any experience with the Yamaha SG2000? Let me have a look at that one online because I can't remember. Oh, a mate of mine's actually got one of these. Pretty sure he's got this guitar. He's got an old one. Yeah, nice. They look pretty cool. Actually, I think I've got two friends that have this exact guitar. I can't share it, unfortunately, but yeah, these are rock machines, these things. They got a huge sound. Those humbuckers are great. One of the best memories I have of that guitar was playing this big, slow B minor blues with my friend Brian, and I think he was ripping at a new one on that guitar. So while I haven't played a lefty, I've seen a few of them. Nice guitars. I think they were probably big in the late 70s, yeah, maybe 80s. All right, we've got second-hand gear is great. I agree. Whether you're, yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. You can generally save yourself a fortune buying stuff used. And you get a good sense of what kind of condition stuff is in by the owner as well. Obviously, you can see it, but if people keep the boxes for stuff or they keep, whatever, things are going to be in good condition, especially with tech stuff that I buy a lot of used cameras and lenses and stuff. But yeah, sometimes you show up and you can tell something's never been used or it's in immaculate condition. Hey, we've got Boris the German. Welcome, mate. Thanks for all the support with the channel there. You're a channel member. All right. Let's scroll down. Hey, we've got Landon Bailey's here. Can't talk. It's getting late. It's only 1 a.m. Bear with me. Let's get caffeinated. Probably go for about an hour tonight or so. We'll see how we go. We'll play it by ear. All right, got to get back to my code. Computer nerd, very good. Yeah, if I get asked questions like what pickups are in this kind of guitar, just Google it because there's a lot of stuff out there, man. Especially when it comes to like old Ibanez guitars and that. I just don't know enough about them to comment. Most of the stuff I know is more kind of like modern stuff from, I guess, the 2000s onwards. I've played some old school guitars as well, but Ibanez is not a brand I'm overly familiar with. Oh, sorry, did I miss a question here? Let me scroll back up. Yeah. All right. Hey, we've got a super chat here. With the Squier Classic Vibes being great for their price, do you see them being more worth it over a Mexican Tele? No, they're just different. They're a different sort of guitar. I mean, obviously where they're made is a point of difference too. I would say if you're going to be playing live, you can get away with both. But I think over the years, the Mexican standards, if you can afford the difference, they're probably worth it. And they'll have a better resale value if you ever decide to get something else. Not that you buy guitars with the intention to sell them, but I didn't get anywhere near the same amount of money for my Squier Classic Vibe when I sold it as what it was worth when I purchased it, which I kind of got. The first one I got for a deal in the US, but the second one I paid a lot more for locally. The Mexican guitars, you can take them off the shelf and gig with them. And you can do that with the Classic Vibes too. I think it can also come down to a visual thing as well. So yeah, I would probably say there's not a huge difference in the sound, the overall sound. Some might argue that there's a massive difference, but from experience of gigging with both, there isn't. I just feel like the standard or the made in Mexico stuff is just a more reliable live guitar straight off the shelf. And that's not to belittle the Classic Vibes because they're really, really good. If I had to pick between them both now, I would pick a Mexican made Tele over a Classic Vibe for myself, having owned both and multiples of them. So I hope that helps. Yeah, anytime I travel, usually I try to find either a Classic Vibe or a made in Mexico straight or Telecaster. They're just super reliable. They're bulletproof. Hey, Bill, thank you, mate. He's sent a super chat, $4.99. Thanks, mate. I appreciate your support. The biggest difference is the neck profile on some of these guitars too. I find that the Squiers can be really thin. Not on all of them, but just generally. So that might be a deal breaker for you as well. And I think what I've come to know about just doing videos, a lot of people prefer a satin finish over a high gloss, which again is the made in Mexico one, but not everybody. So yeah, there's some sort of personal choice stuff there. Do I work a day job or is YouTube your full-time gig? I've been doing this full-time for years, man, along with other stuff outside of YouTube. But yeah, generally, like I got a number of YouTube channels and things I do video-wise and website-wise and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I've been doing this I left my last full-time job in 2015, I think it was. And since then, I've had other day jobs to help make ends meet, but not for a while now. So yeah, kind of made it work. Took a long time, a lot of work. People who think this is easy don't know how hard it is. I put a lot of money back into the channel too. I'm always upgrading things, trying to make it look better, trying to make it sound better, while still keeping it relevant, like without going too over the top. All the stuff I use generally is consumer grade stuff and amps you can find. Not because I don't like hipster amps. Some of those custom shop boutique amps are pretty cool, but I feel like what I've got is pretty representative of people who might be getting into it or just want to, get out and play live. You'll either have a Hot Rod Deluxe, maybe a Blues Deluxe, maybe a Marshall or a Vox or something like that. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I appreciate all the support, and yeah, we're almost up to 100 million views. 100 million views. That's insane. So yeah, thank you everybody for all the support. I think it'll probably click over next month. Somewhere around there. Could be another month away. I haven't looked for a while, but last time I looked, that's a lot of views. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. I also have a tech channel as well, which I've been working on and off for a little while, and I'm going to put more time into that next year as well, just to sort of bring that one up a bit. I love making videos, and even before YouTube, like I've got so many videos I made as a kid, and it was a good mix of all my skills. I'm a ex-computer nerd, so yeah, I love it. I've learned a lot about editing and how to talk to the camera over the years, and yeah, I feel like now I'm more myself doing this than I've ever been. Like it took a long time to get used to doing this. It's a real strange thing. As a software engineer, rather I'd rather stash that Gibson and make more money to buy gear that fits me. Problem is that the guitar is ridiculously heavy. What's my favorite lightweight guitar? Wow. So there's a couple of guitars that are light that I like. I was lucky enough to actually get a Kiesel S5, which has Johnny Highland single coil pickups in it, who's a great country player. He's a monster. That is probably the lightest and most comfortable guitar that I've got. It weighs nothing compared to my Telecasters, and it sounds so good. And value for money, they're pretty great. But in terms of, like, the Vol is pretty light as well, which is back here. I don't know if you've seen the video of that. Not many people watched it, but it's pretty light. This is a cutaway, but I know that that's probably not for everyone visually either. But just trying to think of the really light guitars. At the lower end of the price spectrum, Yamaha Pacifica would be right up there. They're really good. What else is really light? Custom shop guitars from Fender. They're generally all really light, so if you can find a Strat or a Telecaster that you can afford from them, they're generally awesome. There's no real one that I can think of that's like the Flying V. The Flying V weighs nothing compared to a Gibson Les Paul, so that's a great choice as well. Or I'm sure Epiphones are along the same lines weight-wise as well. So yeah, SGs can be light. Not really my cup of tea personally. I'm not much of an SG guy. I do have a video coming up about one very shortly, but yeah, that's about it. That's all I can kind of think of off the top of my head. Boris the German says, Squier Classic Vibe only has tall, thin frets. That's my biggest complaint, but the finish is really good. Yeah, agreed. I'm not the biggest fan of vintage style frets, but I don't mind. I don't actually mind tall frets, even if they are thin. I'd rather that than the true vintage ones, which are short and thin and not very good. Greetings, fellow Aussie. Enjoyed the review of the Boss SD1. I've always had a love-hate thing with them. That's great. I've got more Boss pedal videos scheduled already. There's probably another 6 or so before the end of the year. Chopper says, I just found out I won the Fender play competition and I want to select a Player Series guitar. Oh, very congratulations, man. Very cool. Might play it safe and get a Strat. Yeah, very cool, man. I mean, look, if you took the Player Series stuff is pretty solid. So, yeah, you can't go too far wrong with whatever you decide, mate. Congrats. Very cool. I tell you what, if you don't think a Squier can sound anywhere near as good as any other guitars, it comes down to the player. There's one of my favorite players of all time, Ray Beadle, Aussie guy he's from New Zealand, I think, originally, but man, he's a Sydney dude. One of the best guitar players I've ever heard anywhere in the world. And he plays a classic vibe when he tours, and it's so good. It's like, it's like he's playing a Squier. And he sounds like that. That's what everybody does when they hear him. So go check him out. He's a monster. He also plays a PRS from time to time too. But yeah, he generally when he tours, he uses a Squier. Money for nothing and chicks for free. One of my favorite riffs of all time. Oh. Tried to play that the other night live. Forgot the words. So I just did a jam. It didn't matter. I'm going to print the words out for next time. I'm sure being a small business owner in Australia adds an extra degree of difficulty. I'm not sure what that was in relation to. Sorry, man. That's really insane. Long time subscriber here. Thanks, Gunraw. Appreciate that, mate. Oh, you're talking about the 100 million views. Thanks, appreciate it. Let me scroll down. Abraham says, just discovered your channel. I'm a simple guy. I see another left-handed guitarist. I click. Very cool, mate. Thank you. Hello from Scotland. Awesome. Welcome, mate. That's a place I've never been, but would like to go at some point in my life. Very cool. Christopher says, Shane, you are my go-to guy when I think about buying new equipment. Awesome. Well, that's the idea of the channel, because I feel like the collection or archive of stuff is pretty huge now, and I feel like it's a pretty solid representation of all the stuff I've tried. You know, I don't do post-production other than pan tracks left and right in the intro track. Occasionally I'll have to fix something, but it's very rare. I usually have it on screen, so I try not to like produce the intro track like a song, because that's not representative of how it actually sounds. But all I usually do is pan stuff left and right. Occasionally, like, if it's a clean track, I'll have to compress it very slightly, but that's about it. I find like keeping the tracks, the audio tracks, as clear as I can and consistent as I can is the way to go. So thanks, man. Hey, we've got a super chat here. Thank you. Let me scroll down. Tom, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. It says, try out a Jazzmaster Pro 2. Don't regret getting one. As being a lefty player, how do you adjust your thumb when playing your 50s neck guitars? All right, I'll look into the Jazzmaster Pro 2. I did a review of one, it would have been a while ago now, but I'll have to see if this is it or not. I don't think I've tried, I don't know if I've tried this. No, I haven't tried this one. I've tried the prior one, so I'll see if I can grab one from the shop and do a video for you. How do I adjust my thumb when playing a 50? So the thumb position thing doesn't really change from guitar to guitar much. I think the only thing that I do inherently is sometimes thinner guitars I'll tend to play over a little bit more sometimes. But it really depends on... Actually, you know what? Take that back. I almost feel like it doesn't really matter. I might play more bar chords, I think, on a really fat neck guitar, but I got really big hands, so I can still probably play over the neck this way pretty easy. Like I can reach like 6-7 frets, but it's more about what I'm playing in relation to my thumb position. It's I don't know if it changes drastically between this guitar, say in like a 50s Gibson neck, for example. I don't think there's much of a difference. So I think part of it also is I've tried so many guitars over the last 10 years or so now that I don't have as much of a problem switching between them. After about a minute, I'm pretty much good to do the videos. Like if I grab a guitar, I tend not to, like, especially like when they're on loan, I get home, I film them, I take them out, tune them up, I do the video. I noodle around just briefly sometimes just to get a feel for it, and then that's it. That's enough. Even if I play like a really modern thin neck, as weird as that can feel for about a minute or two, I kind of get used to it. And I don't think I drastically adjust my playing technique at all, at least on my chord hand. So yeah, that may be more of a problem if your hands are fairly small. Like if you've got small hands and you're playing a really fat neck, you may struggle far more than you would on like a 60s neck, which is a lot thinner. So I have a feeling that could be it. Yeah, I can grab a basketball like this, which might surprise some people. So yeah, while I'm not a tall guy, I've got rather large hand spread here. So yeah, that's kind of how it is for me. I find thinner necks more challenging sometimes initially, and then I kind of forget about it. Yeah, but that sort of 50s neck for me is generally the most comfortable, and slightly less fatiguing because I'm not pinching my hands like too much this way. On a fatter neck, your thumb's sort of a little looser, or at least it is for me. So yeah, I hope that helps. I would just say experiment around with not trying to push too hard either way. Like I think a lot of people tend to play with far too much force going on either in the picking hand or in the hand that's doing all the chords. I think that there's a certain, if you're more relaxed, it can be a lot easier. So yeah, just mess around with that and see how you go. Thanks again, mate. I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you. Uh-oh. Did I see Robert Baker pop up? Let me have a look here. I thought I saw him pop up. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Wait a minute. Was it your Les Paul or Flying V? It was my LP, mate. I got rid of the TV yellow one with the P90s. I'm keeping the Flying V, mate. I much prefer playing that. Yeah, hope you're doing well, man. I know I haven't commented too much on your videos lately, but I've still been tuning in, so thank you. If you don't know Robert, go check out his stuff. I think everyone knows who he is. He's the man with very similar hairstyle to me. No, the exact opposite. And a far better guitar player. Huxley Ford says, played a Tom Anderson guitar and was blown away. You know, I played them like 5 years ago. I did a whole lot of different videos at Jerry's Lefty Guitars on Tom Anderson guitars. They're really great. I'd love to try them again now that I've actually kind of gotten a bit better on guitar. That was at a point when I tried a lot of those guitars, it was at a point where I struggled changing guitars far more than I do now. Right now I could play any guitar pretty much the same once you get comfortable with it. Unless there's something severely different, like it's got a Floyd Rose or something. There's a video coming up about that. But yeah, I'd love to try those again. So next time I'm at Jerry's, I'll see if he's still got them. That minty Tele headstock looks like a Kramer bird beak headstock from the mid 80s. I love it. Yeah, this is the latest Volo Vasti, the video that no one watched. This thing's great. I actually posted a live clip of me playing this because the neck pickup on this was one of the nicest, chirpiest kind of neck pickups I've played. I always look for a Tele neck pickup that kind of sound a bit like a Strat neck. I don't like the rolled off mellow neck pickup sound of some Telecasters. I always like the ones that have a bit of bite. And that's a great combination of tones in there. It's really cool. Tom says, thank you. Oh, thank you, mate. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Hey, we've got DMS here. Welcome, man. Ray Beetle. I thought he was an old Nitro funny car driver. No. Ray Beetle is awesome. He's one of the best guitar players you'll hear, and he can sing his ass off. Yeah, he's a freak. He's got all the stuff. He can play blues like a monster. Plays blues better than anyone almost I've ever heard. And he can play jazz. He can play funk. His rhythm chops are so precise, it makes you sick. You're waiting for him to make a mistake. And it's like, no, I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm going to solo for 6 minutes, and you're just going to want to quit. It's I know some great guitar players, and Ray Beetle is like, a class of his own. He really is. He's phenomenal. Not only is he precise, because that can come off as clinical, it's not clinical. He was the guy that got me onto Ray Beetle. Ray Beetle, sorry, was the guy that got me onto Chris Kane all those years ago. Robert's selling a Gibson as well. Is this public knowledge, mate? Are you allowed to elaborate on what you're flipping? Ooh, this could be interesting. Hey, Rumi, thanks, man, or Rummy, I should say. Cheers, love my Fender American Pro 2 Tele, but with lights like at pubs, I get a bit of hum. The MXR SmartGate cures it. Thoughts on dealing with hum? Yeah, it can be a pain, man. There's some venues I used to play at that I couldn't take certain guitars with me, no matter what, because there would be tram lines running through this, outside of the venue, that would just be awfully noisy. And there's some venues where it's dead silent, and you can play with as much drive and volume as you like, and you'll never get any buzz. So you can use a gate. That will kind of sort it out. If your guitar has, the Telecaster, I can't remember if those Teles, I think they do, they have like hum cancelling in the middle position. I'd be more inclined to kind of live there for most of the gig if you can get away with it. But it isn't ideal. I would say the only options to really get rid of that is either noiseless pickups, or you can go for something like, there isn't much of a solution. You can play cleaner, and which will give you less buzz, but sometimes that doesn't always work either. So, yeah, hum can be a pain in the ass. All I know is that some of the venues I used to play at, I stopped bringing guitars with me that were a problem. It was too distracting. I had to take humbucker guitars in all the time. It didn't bother me. And I actually, at one point, I put in a set of noiseless pickups into one of my Strats because it was just too irritating. I loved playing that guitar, but I hated the buzz. And that kind of got me around that problem. And the trade-off isn't as big as it used to be when it came to noiseless pickups. I actually have a video coming up about that pretty soon. I'm doing a comparison video. It was kind of surprising. Like they have gotten better, and I think the only time you notice that they don't sound the same is when you're doing an isolated test. Because if you're playing to a backing track, even they sound great. And yeah, so there's a few things you can do, but I would say if you can, you're probably best just bringing a guitar that doesn't buzz. You know, noise gates are okay, but it still gets through. You can still hear it, and I would say if it's distracting, then choose a different guitar, and then you'll forget about it completely. I've been there before, man. I did years of a gig years and years at one venue doing gigs, and every time I thought, I'll just bring the P90s. I'll just bring the typical Strat or Telecaster. Nah, completely unusable. So yeah. Hey, we've got NJ here. Welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. Welcome. And thanks again for the super chat, mate. Hey, we've got Ed Raposo's here. Welcome, man. The YouTube channel monster. He's got, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of subs he's got now, but I'm subscribed, even though I can't really watch your videos, mate, due to the language barrier. But yeah, thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your comments. All right, Robert, spill the beans, man. Did he already mention what he was selling here? Let me scroll down. Oh, here we go. Huxley Ford says, Nick Huber, a guitar I played at Jerry's was the most innovative guitar I've held in my hands. Jerry's the man. Yes, on both counts. Jerry's an awesome dude, and Nick Huber guitars are arguably the best guitars I've ever played. Just beautiful. Right out of my price range, but beautiful guitars. I've been waiting for me to have a go on a Floyd. Yeah, well, it's an interesting experience, I can tell you. It's definitely... it was an interesting challenge. Let's just put it that way. It's coming up. I tried a few different guitars and a few different amps for this December period. So yeah, you're going to see some stuff that you've never seen before on the channel mixed with some amps that you're like, why did you try this? I always like to throw some weird stuff in the mix. Zach says, good morning from Canada. Big fan of your channel. When you were buying a guitar, how much does the appearance weigh into the decision? Do you already have an idea of what you're going to buy going in? Yeah, look, most of the time for me, like appearance is part of buying a guitar. I don't think it goes kind of hand in hand with it being great. But it's not the deciding factor. I've actually purchased a couple of guitars that weren't my ideal color, and I've still got them. One of which is that Tokai. I wasn't a big fan of the red sort of typical, used to call it the slash Les Paul. Some people love that color. I wanted like a bourbon burst one, but they didn't have it. Or even a gold top, just anything else other than that color. But it was so good that it didn't matter. So I don't think appearance matters as much as what I thought it did to some extent. And when it came to that PRS SE Custom 24, the Trampus Green was never on my radar as something that I thought looked good until I saw it in person. I was like, oh yeah, I could live with this. This looks pretty good. So I don't think appearance matters as much anymore. For me, it's more about tone, feel, and am I getting a cool vibe off it? And weight can also be a deciding factor as well. I don't just go into a guitar shop with the same... like as a typical customer like I used to. I get a chance to play and borrow a lot of stuff. And like 90% of what you see, I borrow from the shop and give it back. And it's sort of like, I know it's usually in the moment of filming it where I go, oh no, I really want this. That's usually when that happens, because even that Slash Les Paul, that was a great example of a guitar that I had no expectations for. It looked great. I was keen to check it out, but I played it. I was like, man, I want this. Irrespective of the you know, if the color wasn't perfect, it didn't matter. It sounded awesome and it played great. So yeah, just don't let that be the deciding factor. You might miss out on something that you'll keep for a long time. The 335 is heading out the door. You're gonna have to do a tribute to BB King, mate. Just troll everybody. Just do like get the Thriller's Gone backing track, slow blues in B minor, and then just shred over it. Just call it the greatest blues guitar solo ever, and watch it get 1 million views, mate. Do it. I saw Ray Beadle on the Broadbeach Festival a few years ago. He did a couple of songs, All-Star Jimi Hendrix tribute show that year. Oh, he's awesome, man. The guy can play everything. Just does everything. He's a freak. Noise gates are a strange thing. You know, people are still mentioning the noise gate put in the effects loop. That can work too, but noise gates do something to your dynamics as well. No matter where you kind of set them, if you turn down and try to play quietly, it's going to cut out. So you lose a bit of dynamics. Noise gates are good, but they're not a perfect solution. They're only great if you very rarely play with dynamics. And if that's how you play, you'll get away with it. But I found sometimes even overdrive pedals that have gates built into them, if you go to really turn down and just play, you know, at talking level at a gig, like speaking level, you can lose the audio completely, or the buzz is still there, you know. So it doesn't solve the buzz problem. It just literally tries to block it when there's not enough audio going through. That's what the threshold does. It sets the point at which the pedal sort of gates it all, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. Jamal says 1, 2, 3. Let's hit 150. Okay. So we've got an almost 123 thumbs up. That's pretty cool. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we'll see if we can get it to 150. We've got 175 people watching right now, give or take. And so here's a good question for everybody. What do you think of the whole YouTube thing now that they've got rid of the dislike button? I don't know if I like that a whole lot. Especially as someone watching other content a lot. You kind of want to find out right away whether or not the video is good, right? Like if it's got, you know, 30,000 views and it's got 300 thumbs up, you didn't realize it might have had 2,700 thumbs down. So I feel like, I don't know, I don't really like that. I know they were saying, channels get trolled with dislikes. Like, so? Happens to me too. I release a video, the first thumbs is usually a thumbs down, but then you get like 150 thumbs up. So who cares? People can waste their time if they want. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I guess, I don't know. I feel like that's just it's a cop-out when it comes to the platform. It really, just something about that just doesn't feel right. Like, everybody's got to be in a happy place with everything all of the time. It's like, no, make the quality content stand out. That's my 2 cents about it. But anyway. My Marshall DSL 40 grumbles when I try to play quiet. Not normal, or is it grumbles? Do you mean like it, does it have like a white noise going through it or something like that? I get a bit of white, like static shh kind of sound when I've got the amp cranked and I'm not playing. That's normal. If it's got like a low end sort of bassy sound coming through it from time to time, means probably your preamp or power tubes are on the way out. I would say it's a preamp valve in that case. So you can take that in and get that easily fixed, or you can replace them yourself. generally know that the amp shouldn't be like making any low frequency rumbles or grumbles or whatever you called it there. So yeah, that to me sounds like something's not right. I got a CR as well. Mine's not the older DSL C. It's the newer of the two. I got it probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. I would say it sounds like probably a preamp valve is not right. But I would need to hear it as well. That's the other thing. I tell you what, put an unlisted video up on YouTube. Just record the sound with your phone or something, and then send me a link at intheblues@outlook.com, and I'll take a look. Can they add a meh button? Yeah. Yeah, I think them removing the dislikes is a bad idea. It's had so much, like... It just is... When I saw that, I was like, no. What went wrong? Because occasionally stuff goes wrong and all the dislikes are removed. I've seen it a few times over the years where the counter doesn't work and then all of a sudden it comes back. But yeah, I always felt like it was... What are they trying to do? Like, make crap videos look better by saying that they've got 3 thumbs up when it's had 10,000 views. I don't know. I don't really understand the logic in that. A good video will speak for itself, or good content will. And I feel like not having it will cause people to use it less. Use even the thumbs up, which will have a negative impact on the channel too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's all a bit wanky. Do you not see the people who dislike your own videos genuinely curious? Oh, I mean, look, people are free to dislike the videos. That's not what I'm saying. I couldn't care less if someone likes the way I play or my shaved head or my playing style or the videos themselves. It doesn't bother me at all. Everyone can like different stuff. But no, you don't know who is clicking the thumbs down. They keep all of that anonymous. So it doesn't matter. I mean, look, if someone's really angry, you'll see it in the comment section. It always cracks me up. Why didn't you do this? And I'm like, dude, the video is 12 years old. Like, that's why that was done that way. It was back before editing. You know, so it's whatever it is, man. It doesn't matter. But I just feel like it's a cop-out for people who put a lot of time and effort into their stuff, as opposed to people who just don't try. There's plenty of those content creators who never make an effort. I don't know. It's just... I guess it speaks for itself either way, but I just felt like I need to hear back from the audience here to see if you like the fact that that does nothing now. Oh, so sorry. Maybe your question was more along the lines of, do I see if there's a thumbs down? So the only way I see if there's a thumbs down is if I go into my back end of YouTube and then I look at the percentage of likes to dislikes ratio. And they're always around the same. They're right around 97 to 99% thumbs up most of the time. There's some that have been like in the high 80s, and they're usually topics that are opinionated, where some people just dislike it because they don't agree with you, and that's fine too. I mean, that's the whole idea of the button. I think there's a difference between genuinely disliking a video or the content versus it being not good content. I think the thumbs down could be used as a way to say, I don't agree with this, I'm thumbsing it down. That's fine. Or I don't like the message in the video versus something that's put together well. It's hard to explain, but yeah, I don't think removing it makes deciphering the good content versus the crap content easier. It makes it far harder for people who are new to the platform. Yeah, it's a dumbing down of the internet. Everyone wins a prize. Yeah, totally. It's to protect fragile minds. That's the thing. Like, I think if you can't handle thumbs downs, right? Like, why are you putting yourself out there? It's one thing if you cop an abuse verbally. I understand how that can be far more problematic for people. But I don't think that's got anything to do with likes to dislikes ratio. There's always going to be someone who lands on my videos who wants to hear someone who can play metal. And there's always going to be someone who gets on a metal channel of a pedal demo wanting to hear blues to dislike it because they didn't see the channel name was I only play metal, you know, or whatever the case may be, right? So, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's a real dumb thing on YouTube's behalf. Taking it away is a really good way to encourage resilience. Taking it away. Oh, the chat just went. I'm down at the bottom. I always give a thumbs up when I watch the video entirely because I'm giving credit for the effort. Hey, thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it. A thumbs up used to help. I don't know if it still has the same impact now. It probably still does, but being that the dislike button doesn't work, I kind of wonder whether or not it's going to be a deciding factor anymore, which is kind of a cop-out because channels could turn that off. You had the option as someone who releases videos to turn off the like and dislike button. So they should have just left it like that, but I don't know, man. Randy, you'll have to go back and watch the start, mate. I've covered it a few times. I'll timestamp a bit of this. I'll probably do it tomorrow now, but yeah. Alyssa says, I think a big part of it is to fight dislike bombing, but realistically, there are better ways to fight stuff like that without hurting content creators. Well, that's it. I mean, I'm sure YouTube have some understanding of who's bombing videos with dislikes as soon as they go live, right? And sometimes people were doing that as a joke to other channels, like part of their whole presence. Oh, I don't know how I can say this in like a. They were kind of trolling the audience, and the audience got them back by dislike bombing videos. So I don't know. Some of it was kind of just done out of humor, but now it's kind of like, I don't know. Can a dislike really cause that much problem for people? Who knows? And they could always just turn it off as a creator. That's the funny thing, right? Anyway, who cares? Have I tried the Chase Bliss? No, I haven't tried that. Is it automatone? Is that how you say that? You know, the same person that thumbs down is always the same guy, no matter what channel. Probably. Yeah, you're right. Can anyone recommend the Boss DS1 pedal? I'm in need of a distortion. That's the next Boss pedal coming up on my channel, man. So hang in there. It's coming up. See what you think of the sound. It has a lot of attitude. So, yeah, I'm in the process of going back, doing all the older new Boss pedals, and that's the third one in that list of new videos. So hang in there. It'll be up in a few days. Yeah, it's a unique sort of pedal. It's got its own kind of vibe going on. I encourage you also to go check out the Boss Super Overdrive pedal if you haven't seen that video I just posted. That thing is killer. And it's got plenty of dirt as well. Like it's got more than enough overdrive for most people. And it kind of borderlines distortion, but it sounds better than a lot of distortion pedals, because I always find distortion sometimes a little bit weird when you, especially if you're playing in context to music. It just doesn't cut as well as a lot of overdrives do. So yeah, see what you think. I've never been able to get a sound I like from a DS1. Yeah, they're an interesting sort of pedal. I think they've got a lot more. Oh, what's that? Oh, sorry, I thought that was a spider coming down. It was just a piece of fluff. Not a big spider fan here. Yeah, the DS1's, I would consider that a balls to the wall distortion pedal. It's very bright as well, but yeah, I'm more partial to the overdrive tone. I just think it sounds more musical for a lot of styles, even stuff that requires high gain. I used to have a DS1 and my dumbass self used it with hot rails, but I loved it anyway. That's cool. Use whatever works. There's no right or wrong. All right, guys. Excuse me, we might wrap this up. It's 1:30 and I'm starting to fade, so I know when I have more trouble stringing sentences together, it's time to go. I'll try and timestamp a few of the, the sections in the video for the playback, but if you missed the start, I did sell the Gibson Les Paul Special with the P90s. Just wasn't getting used, so a few people are asking about that again, so rock on, everybody. Oh, here we go. Hannah, welcome. Do you still use the Sitex Serena delay? I've still got it. I don't plan on getting rid of it. I haven't used it so much lately. It did get used on a lot of live playing stuff I was doing, but I've kept it for a reason. It rocks. So yeah, really great pedal. And nice and simple too. Use the Boss DS1 pedal, the Boss Fender Basement 59, the Dirty Sound are very, very good. Fat Power Sound, cool. You gotta post a guitar. Oh, sorry, I misread this. I thought that was from Ed. It's from Kenny. Very cool, man. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. Hannah, thanks for dropping in too. I appreciate that. If you don't know Sitec pedals, everybody go check them out. Make some really cool stuff out of Poland now from Ireland. Anyway, we've got the DS1 distortion pedal coming up as the next Boss pedal. So a few folks were asking about that. Check it out. It's definitely fun for me to go back over some of these old classics and see what they're like. But yeah, we're going to wrap this up. Anyway, thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all the questions and for all the support. If you're new to the channel, as of shooting this live stream, we're in the 8th day of 30 videos in 30 days. So hang in there. They're all pretty much scheduled apart from one. Oh, maybe two. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. All right, take care. Rock on. Thank you. And if I missed your question, I apologize. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with the chat here, but the chat playback will be back. Or you can leave a question on the... sorry, not the chat play. I'll leave the chat playback on after the fact, but if you have any questions and I missed it, just comment on the actual video comment section outside of the live thing here, and I'll reply when I can. I'm going to go to bed. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you. I appreciate it. Cheers.